Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a retro review for you today. I'm gonna do something a little different here as far as retro reviews. For the last nearly year, I've been talking about maybe doing some of the most successful and acclaimed films of the 1990s. But instead for today's retro review, this month I'm gonna do Body Bags from 1993. Body Bags was a horror anthology film made exclusively for Showtime cable in the early 90s with segments directed by John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper. The movie also stars John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper, Wes Craven, Sam Raimi, Roger Corman, and as far as actors acting in this movie, there's Mark Hamill, Charles Napier, Robert Carradine, Stacy Keach, Sheena Easton, David Warner, David Naughton, and he's a hell of a pepper. And I'm forgetting somebody. Twiggy. Twiggy's in there. Oh, and also Deborah Harry has a role. The reason I decided to do this is since, the Academy has changed their whole rules to now include what are basically just TV movies. And the bulk of literally of the 8 movies nominated for Best Picture, only one film was released theatrically in the calendar year of 2020, but these are supposed to be the best movies of 2020. Go figure. So I'm just this is the kind of stuff. Yes, there are masterpieces in the history of TV movies, stuff like The Stand, and you're distracting me back there, man. Roots, The Jericho Mile, Executioner's Song are all very celebrated films. There's long form films like I, Claudius, and there's great one-shot movies like One Night Hitters, like a lot of the modern things would be considered, such as Conspiracy. It's there's a great history of TV movies, sure, but there's also stuff like Body Bags. Okay, so Body Bags kicks off with this gangly, ghoulish-looking man, mortician, in the mortuary, talking to the camera. He's drinking formaldehyde and molesting the corpses as he goes through and introduces us into each story. The opening story is called The Gas Station, where a college girl is she's has a friend drop her off at work. She's working the midnight shift. It's one of those gas station, convenience store / garage. And she's in like a little after hours cashier booth in the middle of the parking lot. The guy who's in the shift before her shows her the ropes. He leaves. And she runs into first a couple of creepy customers, one including a rich guy who forgets his credit card. She locks herself out, ends up having to sneak into the convenience store to get a spare set of keys, where she's harassed by a homeless guy. And we, the audience, see that the guy that was who showed her the ropes doesn't work there. Of course, soon enough, that guy comes back and starts going full serial killer, trying to kill her. He kills the homeless dude been hanging out, takes a sledgehammer and machete, chases her all around the whole area. When the rich guy comes back looking for his credit card, they get into a scuffle. The killer falls underneath the lift, the mechanic's lift, and the girl hits the lever to drop it down on him, killing him. And that's the first story. The second story is called Hair, where Stacy Keach is a man, a middle-aged, successful man, more and more obsessing over his thinning hairline. He's a good-looking woman, seems to have plenty of money, but he has zero confidence because of this. He goes forward with an experimental surgery, and these implants end up becoming, his hair implants are like alive parasitical things that seeping more and more into his body and pretty much take him over. And by the end of it, he's just kind of just basically in like a like a comatose fugue state, really. And they just set him aside while they bring in the next balding older dude who is desperate to have hair, desperate for that Donald Trump look. Third and final story, it's called The Eye. Mark Hamill plays a baseball player who gets in a car wreck and loses his eye. So he gets another... There's only 3 horror stories, and 2 of them include experimental surgeries. I mean, come on. Who wrote this? So the second experimental surgery ends up being the eye of a psycho killer. I'm recording here. Ends up being, again, the eye of a psycho killer who, of course, just like in the movie Body Parts, that came out a few years earlier than this, it's the same thing. The eye starts making him want to do killer stuff. And eventually, right before he kills his wife, he's able to resist it, stab himself in the bad eye, and the guy dies for real. The movie ends with the ghoulish mortician hearing the crew coming in. Annabelle, go watch that in the hallway. Hearing the crew come in and going back to hide in his body bag, getting ready for his autopsy. Talking to the camera and making silly faces while they begin the autopsy. And it's, I mean, usually on these videos, retro reviews, I try to talk about either a classic, was it a classic or was it a disappointment? Well, let's just say Body Bag is there. It exists. It's a thing. Sure. But this was just kind of a gag video I wanted to get out. It was an innocent 90 Minutes to Kill. It's a stupid horror movie. And I guess it would be Oscar eligible in modern times. And another really, really weird thing about this movie to me is that, you know, what was the purpose of it? Neither John Carpenter or Tobe Hooper were retired at the time, or even like kind of slowing down, really. Hooper maybe, but Carpenter still had, you know, he did plenty of movies in the 90s. But the weirdest part of it is, what's the purpose of doing a horror anthology movie when Tales from the Crypt is still on the air? Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense if you want to. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.